Hello and welcome to our series of IPL team analysis. Today is the turn of the Purple Brigade, Kolkata Knight Riders, the defending champions of the IPL, minus their captain and their mentor in Gigi. Both have exited. Yet the team looks very good, and that's all I'll say now, because we'll dwell deeper into what really makes this a good team. Their strength, weaknesses, you know the drill. 4 questions we try and answer. Strength, weaknesses, likely playing 11, and will they make the playoff? As always, we start with our first question, which is the likely playing 11. And I don't know about my colleagues here, but I found it really tough to make their 11. And usually that's a sign of a weak team. Wherever you struggle to make 11, that means it's a weak team. But on the contrary, I struggle to make their 11 because they have such good players. And, I was struggling because I didn't want to leave an X player out and a Y player out. And that's why I was struggling to make their 11. We'll find out how Siddharth.
One question before we get to the 11s. The auction comes across as an opportunity for teams to bolster their squad. Did that happen for KKR, or is that actually a weakened squad from last year for them, for you guys?
I don't know. I think it's still a darn good squad. I still think they are going to be a title contender squad. And that's why I was
title contender.
Yeah. For me, they are title contenders. Yes, they're one of the. It's very tough to really pick now who can win because the margins are so small, and so I'm not getting into that. But for me, one of the top few teams that there are in the IPL, very well-rounded squad. They have everything that they need, and we'll know when we really get down to their strengths and weaknesses.
Most of the core is intact, and they were one of the only teams along with RR to have retained 6 players. So that is why when you look at it, you can't argue for the people who are retained, and they had a very smart auction. Not too much tampering, not too much complications. KKR did very meticulous planning, and they ensured that, we don't tamper with the core, but we have a team which will be title contenders, and I second that. They are looking one of the top teams this time in IPL 2024-5 when I look at it.
Yeah, which is why I think that when we get down to 11, maybe we'll have a lot of disagreements. I'll tell you why, and why it will be, because there will be no right or wrong answer. It just will be personal preferences. I think that will make the team look good. And unlike other teams that we made, the certainties here I know, and I'm just going to, as always we do, we'll write down the certainties in the team. So you'll have a Ajinkya Rahane because now he's captain.
Yes.
So he's a certainty. Can we write Rahane down at 3 because all of us agree? We'll change the batting order depending on our selection, our rights or wrong. But Rahane,
the least expensive captain in the entire IPL roster, 1.5 crores. Imagine.
So, in fact, in our analysis of the day the auction happened, I had actually picked him as my captain, and I got a lot of hate for that.
It's happened now, but I think this was like a very bold and definitely a move that surprised me.
It did not, because can I be honest, I've spoken to a lot of players in the international setup, and everyone I've spoken to have spoken so highly of Rahane, the captain, I can't tell you. And this comes from his domestic level to the international level.
Credentials. Why I was taken aback in a bit. Firstly, forget the price that you have to pay for a Rahane. Forget that amount. You didn't have to pay much. But
that's also down to nobody really bidding for him. And
exactly. So I'm going to be keeping that aside. When they went so aggressively for a Venkatesh Iyer, that to me was a big vote of confidence. Now with Rahane, I don't see where IPL teams are so, nowadays you're looking at, 3 year windows. Does Rahane fit into the 3-year scheme of things, or is this a stopgap arrangement? This is where I had my, this is where I was conflicted. Because mostly you see mega auction teams are looking at a 3-year window. Now in that plan, how did KKR manage to fit Rahane for 3 years, especially when they know they're defending the crown this year? That is where I was.
That is what Venki Mysore, the CEO, has said, that why did they choose a Rahane? The first year would be observing Venkatesh Iyer take the skills. Rahane has to do other things like meetings, bowler meetings, team meetings, batting meetings. understanding the leadership skills would be too much for a youngster like Venkatesh. These are the words that Venki Mysore has stated. That it sometimes, in the rush of appointing someone young as a captain, it becomes too much. And we have done that video on
I
Sports Today, which
believe
you
one
can
of the
check.
other reasons, because my takeaway from what you say about Venki Mysore is that at some point you're looking at Venkatesh Iyer to be the captain. However, I think at a time where you've had a 23.75 crore price tag on you, there's that expectation that there's burden of the price tag as well. I think maybe you didn't want to add another burden by giving him
So maybe in
captaincy responsibility
2026,
as well.
that could happen in 2026. If KKR don't do well in 25, then they will.
So 1 year.
Could be. You just want to look at a stopgap period. You want to ease him into a leadership role. Na? You saw the CSK example. Jadeja was thrust into the role. Clearly he wasn't ready, and within 8 matches he was gone.
Also, sometimes we pay too much attention as to what the future is. I'm just saying, if you think of just year by year, let's take it. If you win a title in this year, that's it. We'll see what happens. I mean, you can have short term. I think because CSK did that with Dhoni as well. Let's do a year. We'll see what happens later. He's playing. He will be in the 11. If they win a title, if he's not there for the next 3 years, if he's only here for 1 year, who cares? They'll get a replacement. Anyway, so Rahane is there. That's the one that we've gone with. We're going to quickly jot down our rest of our members.
Vice captain also has to be there.
Yes.
4.
3 and 4 then sorted. Captain, vice captain.
Of course, he will be there. What batting squad, I don't know. But just put Venkatesh Iyer at number 4. So that is done as well. Again, I'm looking at people who are 100% there. I think Rinku, Russell and Ramandeep. Right? They are all going to be there.
Would you not assume all 6 retentions to be there in the 11 as
No,
well?
sir. We will get to all of them. We're just finishing one by one. So Rinku, Russell and Ramandeep. You can write it in any order. Just write Russell and Ramandeep.
Just jumping the gun, do you guys have a different role for Narine in mind this time? Because we haven't named it yet.
No,
and
but
he was
when we get to the openers, I'm just putting the ones that are 100% there in that order. Right, you will have a Varun Chakravarthy for sure and Harshit Rana. So if you can put them at 11 and 10, just for the sake of getting us 10 and 11, not 12, 10 and 11. 12 is the spot, Shivam, for a impact player. So can
Varun
we get,
and Harshit.
And Harshit are also there. And now the one that is 100% there, apart from this, is going to be a Sunil Narine, right? They've retained him as well. He's 100% there. Now we can open it up for debate. Where do you have Narine?
This time I will bat Sunil Narine lower down the order.
Where? In this order that we have. So 3, 4, no, I don't think there's any questions over there. Do you want to move Rinku to 5 from 6 and maybe open up space for him to be there?
Yes, I will do that. Because see, what has happened is, every year, whenever Sunil Narine has had success, 1 year he's been flashing away to glory and he's had success. But he's been found wanting the very next year. Which is why teams know now that, we know what is Narayan's weaknesses, what are his strengths. They would have figured him out. So that's why they won't make the mistake of
the
opening.
entire tournament last time around.
But again, conditions. I don't think Eden will dish out those flat decks like we saw in 2024.
When you have such power hitting, Siddharth, why wouldn't you? I think you're going to be sticking to exactly the kind of wickets you had last year.
But
you
again,
had 5 bowlers who gave you 15 plus wickets.
But it backfired. When you saw KKR notch up 262, Punjab Kings chased it down.
That was just one-off. When you have batting and you have the likes of a Rinku and a Russell and a Ramandeep, Rinku was underutilized last year, and even then you had those kind of totals being put up by the KKR.
Which is why I think, the same formula might necessarily not work. We don't know the conditions. Narine, if he fails, then how quickly can KKR adjust to a plan B?
But you only look at plan B once he fails. Why fix something that's not broken?
Exactly.
He was one of the major reasons why you won the title, because of the starts that he got. On what basis do you remove him? Yes, sure enough. And it's happened in the past with KKR. Once it's not worked out, they have mid-season changed that plan. And that is the possibility they can. Because they have such great backup, they can easily do it. But for me as well, while I could have looked at maybe even having both Gurbaz and QDK open, you have an option. You could even have an option of getting an Angrish Raghuvanshi to do that, or maybe Rahane to open and Raghuvanshi comes in at 3. You have all those options available. You can, and then Narine comes down the order. But I'm saying because he was one of the reasons with the starts that he gave with the bat to begin with, I wouldn't want to change that. So for me, also he remains as an opener.
Same.
So
Same.
you're outvoted in
I'm
that
outvoted,
case.
yeah.
So Narine
And
remains
reasons
there.
also much the same.
But we do have Gurbaz as the opener.
Now we'll get to the second opener. Who are your openers?
For me, it is Gurbaz and Rahane. Because...
No. You're outvoted in Narine already, Siddharth. So
so
now
Gurbaz for me.
you'll have to, no?
Yeah.
Because we have a understanding, right? 2 votes.
Yes.
So-
Gurbaz for me is the other opener with Narine.
Again,
Because
same.
So why would you go for a Gurbaz and not QDK?
QDK's form, when you look at the SA20, has been absolutely woeful. 115 strike rate at an average of 20 for the Durban Super Giants. I don't think I'm backing a player with that kind of confidence. And he's playing only one format. Plus, when did he play the SA20? That was in January, February. Now it's March, April. How much batting time has he got? How much has he got? And Gurbaz, on the other hand, has played recent cricket. So why not go with him? And plus, he's better equipped in Indian conditions.
The other reason, it gives me left-hand, right-hand combination right up till number 4 then. If I've got Rahane at 3 and Venkatesh at 4, it gives me left-hand, right-hand combination too. Also, because I'm going to extend the same logic as I did for Narine, it worked out after Phil Salt wasn't available. Gurbaz did, play a handy couple of knocks at times. Of course, he was, outshone by Narine, but I'm going to keep the opening pair intact.
Yeah, it's Gurbazigar's time this time around.
Gurbazigar. Okay.
Gurbazigar.
In fact, I was also going to vote for Gurbaz simply because he plays international cricket. QDK is not playing that. Gurbaz in good form, even in the Champions Trophy you saw, is coming off some good form here. And so, yeah, for me as well, Gurbaz. So it's Gurbaz, Narine, that are your openers.
Yep.
So we're left with 2 slots in the 11, 3 overall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now you've done with 3 overseas players.
Yeah.
And you have 2 slots left. Okay.
Yep.
So, which is the overseas player that you're going with?
I actually think, what we can do over here is we've got till at number 4 is Iyer. Rinku, I think, can be moved up to 5. In fact, all of these guys can be moved up a notch simply because one of the biggest criticisms for KK, despite them winning the title last year, was that Rinku Singh only played about 100 balls last year.
Yeah.
And the numbers then, of course, didn't reflect his caliber or the kind of showing that we've seen from him in previous seasons. He was only getting to play 6 balls here, 10 balls there, played all of 15 matches, 16 matches, 100 ball. That was the math for you. So I think the idea this time will be also when you don't have a Shreyas Iyer in the ranks now, you need people who form the core and the nexus of this team to take more responsibility. Rinku definitely falls in that category. So give him more time, give him more balls, move him up to number 5 maybe.
The option could have been, is what I said, that you could go out with an all-Indian 2 fast bowlers and Weber Baroda could have come alongside Harshit, in which case you could have fitted a Moeen Ali there at 5 who will give you some batting and some spin, because your 2 spinners are similar. Both are your mystery spinners, right? You need a different variety, but I'm also tilted towards this because I also believe that both Russell and Rinku will be underutilized if they're batting at 6 and 7. Yeah. They need more balls to really have an impact, and if you've got such firepower, why keep holding it? That's the mistake that Lucknow Super Giants makes with
Nicholas Pooran.
With someone like a Nicholas Pooran. So why make that same mistake? So I'm okay with that. We'll wait for Siddharth's vote, and if you want to move Rinku and Russell up,
do we just move Rinku or move the entire set?
I am agreeing with you. We move the entire setup.
So move the entire set.
So
that opens up space at number 8.
Yeah. So if he also votes in that, I'm okay with that. Neutral to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So you got Rinku and Russell coming up, which means no place now for Moeen Ali. So that option is out, which means now Ramandeep also comes at 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, which also tells you batting kind of gets done at 7. Remember, most other teams have batting till 8, 9. So you don't have that because you do not now have those kind of all-rounders in your team. Now, there is an Anukul Roy, but he is really not impressed with the bat as much in the options that you've got. You can bring him because he brings a different spin variation other than the ones that you have. So then that will be your 3 spinners, because your fast bowling is pretty well taken care of now with Harshit and a Russell and a Ramandeep. You can you can get another fast bowler at number 9.
I think they'll need one more.
Okay, but first you have to sort the number 8 spot. Now, one player you've left out is Angrish Raghuvanshi. Now, he can't make the squad.
The only way is then again we'll have to go back to what we did in terms of, pulling all these 5, 6, 7 down to 6, 7, 8 and have Angrish maybe play somewhere in the top.
Correct, but you've not gone with that option. My point is
I'm not doing that. I'm not playing him out of position.
So then he's out, na?
He's out.
He's out.
Because he's primarily a top order bat.
Yeah.
Correct. He's out. So he doesn't then make it. Okay. So you've got 8, 9. You have scope for one overseas fast bowler that you can.
That for me is Spencer Johnson.
Okay.
Mitchell Starc, when you look at it, see, I know 24.75 was grossly overpaid, but then he did have the success towards the fag end of the tournament. KKR, we have seen they want to repeat certain formulas which work, like the Narine example. So I know Spencer isn't that quick like Mitchell Starc. He can't touch a 155 or a 152. He can touch close to 145, 146. But looking at his T20I numbers, they are not bad at all. 7.75 economy rate.
But if I've got a Anrik Nokia,
T20Is is too little a sample size.
But
also,
he's had far more impact in that
But
sense.
if I've got an Anrik Nokia, why will I not pay him? And I paid a lot of money for him.
But Anrik Nortje, I mean, this is the tragedy, okay? Last year, when he was there for the Delhi Capitals, he was lacking in rhythm in a big way.
Yeah, he wasn't the same Anrik Nokia you saw in
Agreed.
those couple of seasons when Shreyas was also around.
Plus, when you look at his build-up, he's been playing the Abu Dhabi T10.
That's okay. He's playing. See, I agree with you on the form bit. He was not the same that he used to be. But I start the season with my ace pacer. If he does not have the kind of season, then I see Spencer Johnson as the one who replaces him. But I start with
10.8 economy rate in the Abu Dhabi T10 and 9.7 in the SA.
I know the kind of season that he had.
In a 10 over league, anything over 9 is a acceptable thing. It's a 10 over league, so every bowler will go for 10 and over, easy.
Spencer gives me more control. He's gotten more variation. That's why Gujarat also bid him for 10 plus crores in the auction once. Now here, I think he will have much more help in the Eden conditions when you look at it.
Sure, but again, as I'm going with potential. There is a reason why Anrik went, because teams were ready to bid more for him because they see that potential. Yes, Spencer could be that guy who could have a better season, but I doubt he starts ahead of Anrik Nokia. Yes, Anrik Nokia fails, Spencer comes in, maybe has a season to remember.
See, yes, I see a slash between the two names that we're talking about here.
But I think you're going with Anrik.
And for the same reason, comes in with more experience. He knows these India conditions very well. He's played multiple editions now in the Indian Premier League, unlike Spencer Johnson, who spent more time on the bench with Gujarat than on the field. So plan A will be Nokia. Let's see. And I'll hope, if I have to trust him in the death, he doesn't do what he was doing at the Delhi Capitals, which was giving away 18, 19 runs on an average.
Yeah.
So I start with him, doesn't work out.
Don't you think a slightly better bat than Nortje if you want options?
No, but I think the batting will be taken care of that till with
Harshit
the rest
will
of
be
it.
at 8.
You're not going to be having Spencer Johnson bail you out. It could happen once in 10
He
games
could
maybe.
be like like how Starc was. I mean, you don't expect him to save you or win you a game that often.
Yeah.
Maybe slight edge on the batting front is what boosted me to get Spencer
It's going to be
Johnson.
Harshit who's going to be batting ahead of either of those.
No, that is. So actually, just switch. Harshit comes at 9 and Nokia. And I'll tell you why. Because you now have a slot available and you have an option of 2 Indian bowlers. But I think this is a batting first team. So if you're picking a batting first team and you will make that change, then I will have Anukul Roy in because he's an all-rounder. And even though he's not a lot of great numbers to show in the previous season, but he's still an all-rounder. So I will then put him at 8. And he gives me a different spinning option than only the 2 mystery spinners that I have. So different spin option.
Yep.
Also some batting lower down the order. And when I am going to be switching, when I need to get, then I can always remove a batter and bring in a Vaibhav Arora as a fast bowler. So that is the best available 11 that they can make. And of course, Vaibhav and Anukul can be interchanged in the sense that when the bowling comes, Vaibhav comes in for a batter. It could be any batter that goes out, and then that should really balance their team. So now when you look at this team, you see a lot of strengths, and we'll have to really struggle to find a weakness. We'll get to that. But let's try and address the strength our question number 2. What do you think is the strength of this team?
I think the core of this team. Look at the number of players from last season who are still in this 11, and that is the sign of a good side. You can only say that for, I think, only a couple of other sides that went in with so many retentions. I think Rajasthan were the only other team that had these many retentions. So they have not just the 6 that they retained in the 11, but they also managed to get a Venkatesh Iyer from the auction. So that's 7 players from the 11 that were already, or 12 that were already playing last year. I think when you have 70%, nearly just about 70% of the same side from last year, and it was a championship winning side, I think you have a good squad at hand.
Stability, and all of these guys who feature, the core of them, they know how to win IPL titles. The jinx ended last year. It was a 10-year wait for them. Narine, Russell have all won it for them.
Jinx has just entered.
Oh, yes, in that way, yep. And Jinx's leadership, yeah, I mean, he can be a miracle maker in his own way in the IPL. Yes, international cricket, his pedigree is top-notch. IPL, it will be a stern test for him because he's not had that much of success in IPL when you look at his past. For example, Rajasthan Royals. So, core and the match winners that are there make KKR one of my knockout teams.
For me, their biggest strength is the amazing backup that they have. So imagine the flexibility they have. If a Narine doesn't do well as an opener, you have the flexibility of bringing him down. You could even get an Indian opener to come there with a Rahane can go, Angrish can come in. That's the thing. If a Gurbaz doesn't fire, they've got a QDK as a backup. They've got backup for most of their players. They've got even a Moeen Ali. If a middle order player isn't doing well, he can come in, he can chip in with the ball bat. So amazing amount of flexibility and backup they have. So they can have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and yet fire at that level. So that I think is the biggest strength. And the second biggest strength I see for them is, I think, will be the leadership of Rahane. I've said it earlier, he's one of the sharpest, shrewdest captains. And as you know, in IPL, captaincy makes a huge difference. So I think alongside Chandrakant Pandit and Rahane, I think they'll make a great cricketing brain as such, the core. So that's my strength for KKR. Now to the weakness.
I think the weakness will be Narayan's inconsistent batting. The day he doesn't...
They have options to back that really can't be a weakness.
Like,
even if it is, they have a backup. Say it's not like, let's say RCB, if Virat doesn't do anything, what do you do? In their case, they have so much flexibility. They can just change. For me, I think the weakness that I see could be their fast bowling as such, because other than Harshit, who's doing very well, if a Nokia doesn't really perform, I don't know how much a Robin Powell can be that guy, or a Spencer Johnson. I know they have backups, and which is why I pointed out the strength. But if I was to look at a weak area, because there isn't actually any, I'm really struggling, because they have backup, they have middle order, top order, spin bowling, the 2 of the best spinners, dare I say, everything. So if I'd really nitpick and really take out a weakness for the heck of the question that we need to answer, I'll only say the fast bowling, nothing else.
I won't say, I'm nitpicking over here, but the one clear sort of a weakness for me is in the form of a hole named Starc. I think there's a Starc hole in this side, and he did not perform well at the start of the tournament, as we saw, but come the business end of the tournament, he really turned things around. His campaign really resurrected, and I see the lack of an experienced fast bowler over there. Harshit, still, you're expecting Harshit to be just as good as he was the previous season, and in this lineup that we have, he is the leader of this.
But he comes from international experience now. Remember, uncapped player he was retained as. Now he's capped when he's playing.
Do you want to talk about circumstances that led to him being uncapped?
Different debate.
Different debate, yeah.
But see, we've seen in Test cricket as well. Harshit, Travis Head took a liking to him in the Test match, and he can blow hot and cold. He doesn't come with a guarantee, is what I'm saying. You're expecting him to maintain the high standards that he showed last year, but there is so much more that Harshit needs to prove. And in this bowling attack, if he's the leader, I think there's far too much responsibility on somebody who's just 4-5 ODI, couple of ODIs young, maybe just 3 that he played.
Perhaps the conditions could be a googly for KKR. Because remember, there is a very dark underlining that if the conditions are too flat, they themselves might fall into the trap. It happened in the PBKS game. 262 couldn't be defended with Narine, with Chakravarthy in. So maybe if the conditions remain too flat, then I think KKR might struggle.
Okay, now to our final question, the big question. Are they making the playoffs?
Yes, I think they are a top 2 team.
Yeah.
It's a unanimous decision. They are making the playoffs. And yeah, to me also, they could be a possible finalist, title contenders for sure. But again, minor differences and small margins can make huge changes. So you really can't guarantee anything in the IPL. But yeah, I think safely you could bet your house on the fact that they should make the playoff. At least they are the squad too.
Yes.
You let us know what you think of this team. What do you think are the strengths, weaknesses, your ideal playing 11? The only thing that we ask you for is you can, write good things about us. You can be critical. Whatever you feel, you're free to do that. But just give us a like on the video. That's the only thing that we ask for. Share it with your other KKR friends and maybe they'll have an opinion to offer as well. And as always, keep watching Sports Today. We look forward to your company throughout the IPL. Post each IPL match, we're going to be live here. Match last ball is bowled. We are live on Sports Today with our analysis and we answer your questions. So look forward to your company there. For the moment, from Siddharth, Harshit and I, bye-bye, take care.
Bye-bye.